Chapter 366. Nathan is waiting outside. Why? Do you want to see Nathan's face? No, I don't. Yudhir immediately shook his head. A faint smile on Kishir's face deepened a bit. His gaze turned to Rubel, who was sleeping soundly, oblivious to anyone's presence. Is that the person sleeping over there, Rubel, who sneaked in as a servant? Yes. When we asked those who had lost their memories after the investigation was over, there was someone who knew him. Could that person be a woman named Marty? At Yudhir's question, Kishir nodded in agreement. Yes. I have also heard a bit more about that part here. Yudhir quickly finished his report, summarizing the fact that Rubel had promised to cooperate for Marty as soon as the assumptions he had made based on the information he had heard from him. Contrary to his speculation, I think there might be another motive behind this murder. However, I still don't know exactly what it is. I can see that my assistant has been working non-stop even while he's here. With a strange expression, Kishir let out a short laugh and soon withdrew his gaze from Rubel. From our investigation, we judged the murder to be a mere pretext for the real purpose. There was not even a minimum intention to hide the perpetrator. Then, should we assume that there is something they hoped for in the subsequent movements of those who discovered this case? That was true, Yudhir nodded cautiously, and Kishir began to summarize the current situation after the incident. We don't need to talk about our movements anymore, and Baron Wilhelm has now concentrated all his forces on the investigation of this matter. He has strengthened the protection around the mansion several times and has withdrawn the knights patrolling throughout Tennu, leaving only the minimum number. It seems he started to be scared after feeling that those he hasn't even managed to catch, even the tail, can boldly come up to his doorstep. Yes, although he seems to be half doubting so far, it's clear what he's thinking when you see the soldiers blocking between the annex and the main mansion since the murder occurred. The turnaround in attitude, which was trying to frame Yudhir as the culprit just a few hours ago, was surprisingly quick. It seems that he's been locked in his office since then, so he must be in contact with Duke Tane. He's late in realizing the seriousness of the situation. Kishir spoke with a cold smile. As a result, the security of Tennu is almost blank, except for a few places like the security management team and the Wilhelm's family mansion. Of course, I sent the Paleta Knights and the cavalry to various places to wait. But by now, Duke Tane should realize that it's time to give up his stubbornness. I think they will formally ask us for our help tomorrow. Then I might be able to leave here sooner than expected. Knight Commander Jammerfil might be quite disappointed, but in the end, he was in a position to follow Baron Wilhelm unconditionally. Yudhir was quite looking forward to seeing his reaction when he suddenly received the news to release Yudhir without a proper second investigation. Did you want to leave? Kishir asked with a curious look in his eyes. Isn't it obvious? Yudhir's purpose in coming here was primarily to meet Rubel, save him, and obtain information, and secondarily to ensure that Kishir and the cavalry were not held back because of him. Since everything had been achieved, there was no reason to stay any longer. Seeing from the outside, you are sitting so comfortably that I almost confused for a moment whether I sent my assistant to prison or to rest in his room. Thankfully, that is not the case. Yudhir, who had thought that this place was no different from his own room, silently averted his gaze. Before I came here, even when I sat down, it didn't feel like I was sitting, he said. The one who should feel that way is completely unchanged, so it feels quite disheartening. Did you really come to scold me? You think I would willingly come here and think you wouldn't even listen to this much? I'm sorry, but you're going to say this was the best choice, right? I know, there is no need to apologize. The man, who seemed to fully understand Yudhir's choice and reason, responded in a low, subsided voice, then took a deep breath, closing his eyes and opening them again. Next time, however, I'll make you think that a different choice is the best. After uttering a cryptic sentence, Kishore skillfully masked his emotions. Now, let's think about what those who have stolen everything from the secret vault in the Red Deer Consortium are really after based on the current situation we summarized. Understood. What do Nahan and Ershi currently want? Their original goal was to uncover the secret trade conducted by Tain Ducci and expose it to the world, delivering punishment. In fact, that goal was not very different from Kishire's. The difference was only in the method used to achieve the purpose. They have already obtained information related to the secret trade in Great Serene Forest and Thenul. They caused an explosion, creating chaos in the city, and have probably tracked the movements of Baron Wilhelm. Yet, they seem to have not reached the real core of the matter. It could be that the information they obtained was not complete, or something was blocking them, even if they had the right information. Would those persistent individuals give up though? If they were to, they wouldn't have committed murder in Baron Wilhelm's house after the explosion incident. Nahan's side was intentionally increasing the city's terror. Until now, the nobles had only recognized these events as minor incidents while hunting down the Awakener terrorist group that had killed Thenu's knights. But after today, that would no longer be the case. As chaos intensifies, it becomes impossible to dismiss or hide this matter. Chaos was also the best emotion to paralyze human judgment. A fearful Baron Wilhelm, the current situation in Thenu, where the city gates were closed and the internal security was forced in one area, the explosions that had occurred so far, the current locations of key figures involved, possible strategies Nahan might take based on experience. All the words Yudhir had heard so far, Yudhir's mind was tirelessly working. Ah, a moment later, he unknowingly let out a small sound. Did something come to mind? It could be a guess, but however, he wanted to confirm one thing. Commander, among the few places where the knight has not withdrawn yet, except for the Baron's mansion and the security management team, is the house of Graham Wilhelm included? Before coming to the security management team, Baron Wilhelm had ordered the Knight Commander Jammerfil to be summoned from Graham Wilhelm's house to investigate Yudhir. If the most significant change caused by this murder was the reassignment of forces within the city, the relocation of the Knight Commander was one of the most crucial matters. Yudhir's words seemed to have triggered some suspicion, and Kishir narrowed his eyes. According to Nathan's investigation and report today, he was involved in the explosion in the warehouse district that happened yesterday, he said. It must have been in the Red Deer Consortium warehouse area, right? Yes, it was one of the places the Paleta Knights were keeping an eye on. Yudhir finally drew a conclusion. The real target they were after through this incident might have been that person. Even though the death of the second younger sibling and spouse didn't faze him, Baron Wilhelm had sent even the commander of the knights to guard the front of Graham Wilhelm's house. Was it simply because the second younger sibling and the spouse were leeches on the Baron's fortune and the Graham Wilhelm was a capable person trusted with the Red Deer Consortium? The Baron that Yudhir knew was not that kind of a person. What was the first incident that the enemy had instigated in Thenu? Even after the Red Deer Consortium building explosion that Robel had mentioned, they again caused an explosion in a warehouse dense area of the Consortium warehouse, coincidentally injuring Graham Wilhelm. Could all of this have merely been the result of chance? From the beginning, they had been focusing on the Red Deer Consortium warehouse. Graham Wilhelm, a central figure in the warehouse, could have been a target as well. Then, the likelihood that yesterday's incident was aimed at Graham Wilhelm to unravel the warehouse and fan the flames of chaos is high. Without any further explanation, Kishir quickly understood Yudhir's intention. His words were exactly what Yudhir was about to say. Robel said, Nahan has read almost all the papers taken from the secret vault. But considering there was no movement for a while afterward, I think the information obtained was either incomplete or something was blocked. So then, first, create a noisy event to divert the enemy's attention and then target the real goal. The tactics of someone who knows how to deal with the military. Attempting this despite knowing the huge difference in power must mean they were very confident. Or they might have committed it, considering all the possible damage as well. Right, bold and ruthless, very like them. Kishir uttered with a sharp smile, and Yudir agreed with his words. Yes, that's their way. Whether it's a dangerous strategy where their comrades take great risks or not, if they survive and succeed, they will have achieved their goal. It wasn't merely a plan to trip up the cavalry or create internal strife. They had thought of taking it a step further. As Kishir said, it was indeed bold and risky. Yet surprisingly, up to now, coincidences had piled up and they had achieved much more significant success than expected. Baron Wilhelm quickly moved his knights and troops, thinking that they were targeting him. There were still some guarding Graham Wilhelm and the Red Deer Consortium warehouse, but the number must have been much less than before. Moreover, with Yudir's involvement, the attention of the cavalry was now focused on the murder and security management team. With one audacious murder, they diverted the enemy's attention, created chaos, made an opportunity to get what they wanted, and even tied up Yudir's feet. If they wanted more, now was the perfect moment. We have no time. We must move immediately. Kishir turned the sapphire embedded in the bracelet-shaped magic tool he had on. It flashed once, and shortly after, Nathan Zuckerman appeared. Did you call me? Nathan Zuckerman looked at Yudir, who was inside the room, with a momentarily complex gaze. Nathan, have there been any changes in the situation? None so far. Good. Contact those near the broken building of the Red Deer Consortium and Graham Wilhelm's house, and we'll move immediately. Time is of essence. I will go ahead and send the message. Nathan did not ask his lord why he gave such an order. Before rising from his seat, Kishir looked briefly at Yudir's face beyond the bars. See you tomorrow. Take care. A farewell was simply that. Kishir and Nathan melted into the darkness and vanished as quietly as they had come. Yudir sat for a while as if he had dreamed the entire event, putting his hand into his pocket. The warmth emanating from the heating stone and the lingering cool scent in the air made him realize that it had all been real. Then, shall I make my move now?